Good afternoon. Deep Evil Novel, Climate Change Novel, author and solo acting Ahmed Gaber abdelhamid, episode number 62. Gary switched off the video on his laptop. Portugal, Lisbon. Good evening. I'm Dan from USA. I'm researcher at from Harvard. I will ask a question, then I will try to answer it. Why the most of the poor countries export the necessity food crops. I I can add to this question a given data which make the question need more explaining. Most of the fertile lands which not planted yet in the earth lying in the poor countries. The very quick answer is the free man who can protect his land and his necessity food. But the most deep answer is that the historical civilians depend on the agricultural base. There is no civilization succeeded during the history without agricultural base. So most of the agricultural countries have somehow civilization on the past, built them necessity agricultural lands, but maybe the inheritance loose them history agricultural. But anyway, there is many of countries would worldwide didn't success to build a civilization during the history. So the poverty is a result. But this is not the end of the problem. As I said in earlier lecture, the fertile lands worldwide is decreasing under many environmental conditions. So, if we can imagine that the world is facing deficit of the crops and the green area, while the poor countries still has an unplanted fertile lands. This means there is no serious action to handle our collective earth disaster. The logical thinking is to consider the remaining fertile lands worldwide as a common human treasure, without any ignorance of the rights of the possessed countries. It is partnership between the landowner and the know-how capitalist. I will explain it later. Thanks. See you next lecture. After the meeting, George asked about the location of the Professor Jacques. He went to his office, asked his secretary for a meeting. Professor Jacques opened the door, called George to enter. How was your meeting, George? Professor Jacques said. Good, not bad. Indeed, I do not know if they convinced by what I said or not. I didn't prepare to this meeting. You didn't tell me that I will lead the meeting, George said. It is just a test. Don't worry, George, Professor Jacques said. But already you choose me. Usually the test has to be before the choosing decide. George said, usually, but not always. The selection is continuous process. I made heavy exercise to choose you. I want to tell you something about the choice, but you have to keep all our conversation as top secret. Professor Jack said. Sure, George said. One from the reasons that we are choose you that you are patriot. Professor Jack said. George impressed. He asked to leave, then he left. Thank you. See you next episode.